And you cannot just build an institution and leave the people without the institutions. You don't have the people. Without the people, you can't have the institutions to be functional. So when we build institutions,
but which one comes first, though? Which one comes first?
It's like the egg and
the people.
Which one comes first? So in order for me, I think the institutions, the groundwork should be done. That is laying down the institutions, but then it should be simultaneously, in my own perspective, that if you have kids that are growing up and you building these institutions and making all it work, but then like TAF said, you don't build the people's mindset to be able to operate these institutions, then it will end up failing.
Say, which comes first, the people or the institution? Which one do you build first?
I think you build institutions first. I mean, we cannot just start everything here from zero. What we need to do now is to make sure that institutions are built. Institutions are built with, regulations and rules and structures, and we understand, and then you fit the people in. So once you fit people in, they know that these are the things that they need to do.
If you're watching right now, go ahead and comment below. What do you think actually comes first? Is it the people that we need to build first, then the institution, or is it the institution, then the people? Comment below and let us know what your thoughts are. I say people, but I can't go against what you say.
I know, I want to say people too, but I don't want to defer with TAF. But I think
Go ahead. I mean, you have all rights to defer. The viewers, let them judge. I'm sure the comments will come out very interesting.
So we'll let the viewers tell us.
My opinion.
Yeah, I think, but you did bring up a good point though. At this junction where we are, it's probably the institution that we need to build first.
Yes.
If it was the beginning of time, then it's the people that's going to build the institution. So maybe I would side with you slightly there, and then we'll move on to the next one.
There's a saying, Jika, that says garbage in, garbage out. It's basically like what you put in is what you expecting to get out. So if these institutions are just like we take like shortcuts and try to just build it whatever we want, that's pretty much what we're going to get. If you put in water, you're not going to expect to get oil out.
You build it right. You build it right and make sure you enforce things, and then that's when people come in, you'll have good stuff in and then good stuff out.
Yeah, and whoever is not good, you garbage them out. Okay,
yes.
So okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the last part of this conversation. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it, and again, don't forget, continue to comment and share this video. So what roles do people actually have in terms of innovation, in terms of becoming the best players or the best key roles in building these institutions to move Africa forward?
We need to develop a society where people take ownership of everything. If you first, the ownership that we all belong, what we belong to, what we have in common today, all four of us, what is it? We are all Gambians. Mm-hmm. So we need to take ownership of our country. That this country belongs to all of us. And if we fail together. If we succeed together. Then therefore, you cannot have only succeeding and then having me failing, or Juka or Dr. J, or...
So we are collective.
We need to really have a collective position in, developing one's country. And that can only be done by taking ownership. Say, for example, litter. If you go drive around our country today, everywhere is littered. First, nobody should litter by throwing out something in the street. But if I find something being dropped, I need to pick it up and put it in a bin. So it my concern that the place should not be dirty. You should not only be concerned about your own demarcated area, which is your house, your compound, but you should be concerned about your community, your country. And that is the only way we can develop, as a people, as a nation, and that will change the whole perspective of the African country.
The individualization of system is always us as a team that need to move together. So if one person fails, all of us fails. If we can bring that mindset within the community, that what can I do for my country, but not what my country can do for me. I think those are the things that we need to bring together. If there's a problem and you do nothing about that problem, you are part of that problem. So if Gambia fails, it's not because of one person, but it's because of Gambians collectively.
And if Africa fails, it's also Africans.
And if Africa fails, it's not because of one African country, but it's all of Africa.
From my perspective, I think we just finished talking about the governments are able to set up those institutions. So now I think it's the onus is on the people to kind of innovate on those institutions, not wait for the government, right? So it's, for example, Facebook was not built by the government. Twitter was not built by the government in the US. It's actual people that try to see, okay, what is lacking out there? Like, what are the needs of the people? And of course, not just trying to redo what somebody else has done, but trying to figure out, like, okay, what are some of the gaps that we currently have? For example, in the Gambia, it may be tourism. There may be massive opportunities that are available for tourism, or whatever it may be, real estate, etc. So now it's on to the people, I believe, to come up with ideas, innovations, and start building the country, and not just leaving it to the government.
What do you guys think in terms of in Africa? I do see often there's a lot of copy and pasting. Let's say TAF is happening, he's doing wonderful. We come and emulate exactly the same structure, right? And not fill in the gaps like Ole just said. Where does that leave us in Africa? Because it seems like we will all be stuck repeating and doing the same things, and nothing is being innovated, nothing is evolving and changing and growing.
I mean, look, so many people are copying and pasting Louis Vuitton, but it's never Louis Vuitton. Some will never pay the price they pay, on the original Louis Vuitton bag. But yes, Chanel will come with something different. Same standards, everything, but a different brand is a bag, So those who just copy and paste, wanting to do exactly what you are doing, will never succeed. And that will always happen. It's not only in Africa, it's all over the world.
Exactly.
Those who will succeed are those that will come in and add value. For example, when Microsoft came in and Bill Gates, then Steve Jobs came up, Apple was there. Now you can see things like WhatsApp, Facebook, artificial intelligence is the thing today, and there's so much innovation. People are doing different things, but it's within all probably the scope of technology. So I don't see anything wrong in emulating people, learning from what they have done. If TAF came in and started real estate and doing XYZ, I think what you should do is look at TAF and look at his shortcomings. Yeah. What is it that he's not addressing? Selling for those of the bracket of $100,000. I mean, is there a market for those that can only pay $15,000? Yes, if there is, I'm going to come in and might even make more money than him.
You just literally open the minds of thousands of people that are going to watch this video. That's what innovation is about.
I encourage, competition. I don't have a competitor. I talk to my competition. Those who think that they're my competition. Actually, I once approached, and I'm saying this is on TV. I approached, people who think as a competitor, to buy into his company. I was shocked. I knew I could add value. I was going to shed off some of the things that I was doing. So I will concentrate in something else, to concentrate more on development. Because, look, I have built, as an individual, this company that is TAF Africa Global. And my specialization is I have worked from the grassroots. I know how to fix it with my hands. And that is why there's the difference. Then comes sales and marketing. Over time, I have developed myself to be a very good marketer. I have developed myself to be an orator because I give talks and so on. But what I wanted to do as I scale up, I wasn't interested in marketing anymore. I wanted to put my efforts more into development. The cake is so big. It's enough for everybody. And it's only small-minded people who think, hey, this man is running after my business. So they wonder, why should he come close to me? You can never finish it. You better be a friend of that competitor. Otherwise, you have somebody who's completely foreign who comes in and takes it over from you. So that brings me now to the point of, collectively working together.
You said you knew a little bit about marketing. You did some marketing, like you did stuff with your hands. So it almost seems like you kind of know every facet of the business. What can you share about that? Because owning something, being the president, and knowing every facet of it.
Because I did my apprenticeship. That is key. I mean, if you go up the ladder, you need. It's always important to go do your apprenticeship. If you've decided that you're going to run your media works now, you should know the basics of how a camera operates. So if all of a sudden your cameraman falls sick or so, you should make sure it works. Don't ever be handicapped because you don't know your business. Your business you should know from A to Z. You don't have to know it in detail, but in any business that you are in, I believe that it's always good. The most successful is the one that has gone through the apprenticeship, through every level of it. If you end up being the top banker, the CEO of a top bank, it's always good when you started from a teller. But if you come in, and most people, they want to start a business, and the first thing they want to see is to have that business card that says CEO. Before you will hardly succeed if you start by being the CEO. You start from the bottom. A ladder starts from the bottom. A ladder starts with the first step at the bottom. A ladder doesn't start from the top. So you don't just fly and get there. The ladder standing there, you jump high and get there, and then you trip.
Wow.
That's not the way. So you gradually take step by step, and that's what life is all about.
There's a company called Zappos, right? I'm not sure if you're familiar, but they sell like shoes and stuff. And they kind of like term as like one of the best customer service companies. When you get a job at Zappos, it does not matter whether you're coming in as a CEO or a CFO or whatever title you have. You actually have to take calls talking to customers for almost a month, because they want you to actually see like how it feels, because the whole entire, like most businesses, is about servicing customers, right? So you could be, I don't know, the best accountant or crunching numbers or the best technologist, but if you don't understand like what the customer's needs are, or what the customers want, or how it feels like to talk to the customers, then you cannot really deliver. So I think that was great that you pointed out, because
right. So let's go ahead and talk about this quickly. A lot of educated Africans are outside of Africa, a huge number. So what does this do to Africa as far as developing and moving institutions forward?
The other constituent of Africa, I mean, I think it's a constituent, and I want to look at it positively. These days, you don't need to be in a fixed abode to make your contribution. You are now interviewing me. I guess you are in different states, we are in different locations, but you are adding value. This is all about, civic education, and it's all about, we are living in a world where we don't need to physically be at a permanent place to make certain contributions. Realize that there are opportunities in Africa today. On 1st of January, the African Continental Free Trade Area came into existence. Now, that is a population of 1 billion people. Huge economy, trillions of dollars. And the African diaspora should see Africa as an opportunity. There's less competition. Some have realized it. There's quite a number of diasporans who's moved in and they have established, they are competing. Some have succeeded, some are still struggling, but there are opportunities here. It's less competitive than being in the advanced world. So yes, we should look at Africa knowing that, look, you're not doing us a favor being here. You see it as a place that there are opportunities. It has its own challenges like everywhere in the world. I once gave a talk in Wharton Business School in Philadelphia, and I was asked to speak on the unwritten rules of doing business in Africa. Yes, there are unwritten rules, but go and learn the rules. If you learn the rules, you will play. Let's take an example. When I moved into Nigeria, I didn't go into Nigeria corporate structure. I went there as an individual, and I went there alone, all by myself, and built it up in Nigeria. If you know Nigeria very well, the Niger Delta is rough. That's where the oil wealth is. And I learned from what I found there, and I built it up. What I saw there, whilst a lot of people, including Nigerians, thought it was too risky to make a try, I thought different. I saw it as a challenge, and what I do is I turn challenges into opportunities. And that's what I would like to urge people in the diaspora to think about.
There's no better place to be successful than in your own home country. But I think a lot of us too are very hesitant because of some of the risk or some of the things that we've seen, like where some of our friends have given up a lot and go back home, and maybe it didn't really work out for them. But as you said, in so many words, like where there's a will, there's a way. Like you were up for that challenge.
So in Africa, there are many challenges into establishing things and making it work and having businesses and setting up, institutions or businesses or whatever, companies. But then also there's a space for it. Right, the higher returns, and also there's opportunity because a lot of people are not willing to take the risk to really deal with it and do it, especially the people that are in the West. As you know, I have a business and I deal a lot with Africa, and I salute you for what you've been able to do. Candidly speaking, because it is really difficult to have a business and to make it function, to operate in a large scale in Africa. It's not easy. Those are the facts. It's really difficult.
I agree, Juka, but I keep telling people that my failures are much more than my successes. And we don't talk about my failures. I have failed. I am registered in 8 African countries in total. But I only operate, in 2 for example, for now. Some I have started, I mobilized, I set up offices, everything. And it was so tough that I had to close it down. I had to go to France to learn French, to do an intensive course in French, to be able to communicate in Mali. Because I had an opportunity to meet the president, and he invited me to invest there. And when I went to see the president, this was, quite some time ago, he's late, it was Amani Toure. He only spoke French, and there was no interpreter. It was horrible. I hated myself. And that is where, again, you need to understand that wherever you find, challenges, you're supposed to overcome them. Don't give up.
Yes.
If you fall, get up again. Yes. There's always a solution to a problem.
It's funny you mentioned Mali, because I remember going into Mali, and they're not a fan of speaking English.
No. Est-ce que tu parles français?
Je parle un peu. Parce que je fais business avec... oui, je parle un peu.
Faire les affaires avec le pays francophone. Yes. So this was an example. So wherever, in general, wherever you find a problem, try and look for the solution.
You're a wealth of knowledge, mashallah. Like we said, we can have you here on the sister show for hours, and I'm sure our audience are loving it. If you're loving this conversation, and if you want Mr. Njie to come back here on the Building Africa series, because like I said, you build in Africa, you build in institutions, you build in real estate, you build in estates.
He's not only building institutions, he's building people, because like he said from the beginning, that these people that work for him don't even feel like going home. So he's definitely doing something, inspiring them, putting some values in them where they end up believing that this company, TAF, is not his company, but their company as a whole.
The one thing that stood out to me when I asked you about your vision, and you said we shouldn't personalize things. And that stood out to me because I feel like we've had like a lot of businesses in Africa, right, growing up, where we don't see the businesses anymore. Like as soon as the person, the founder is gone, that business is gone. Whereas in the US, you see Walmart, you see like a lot of companies that have been here for like years and years, and they just keep going. And I feel like, to me, that's kind of like what I see TAF. I see TAF like centuries later, like where this company would be kind of like, you talk about like Walmart and all these other great companies in the US. That's kind of like what I see you building. And that's just amazing.
When you spot on, we develop a team, because in order for you to succeed, you need to develop a team. I always tell people that, look, it's a team that wins, but it's only an individual who scores the goals for the individual, for the team to win. But when I put the ball into the net, I'm not the only one who's a winner. It's the team that is the winner. And the way forward for Africa is to encourage public-private partnership, projects like what we're doing in Nigeria.
You couldn't say it better, and not to personalize the positions. Thank you so much. Quickly, before we let you go, can you share, not that they need it, because everybody knows TAF Global, especially if you're from Gambia and Nigeria, but for the other viewers that are watching, to know a little bit more about TAF, your social media handlers, where they can find your company or the business itself.
Go and search for TAF Africa Global. Instagram is Mustapha Njie also. And but I'm very big on LinkedIn, on Mustapha Njie. I mean, my biggest followers are on LinkedIn, which is more professional.
I actually follow you on LinkedIn.
Yes. I've been chased, in and out over the years about my story. that, look, you need to write a book. You need to, somebody needs to write your biography. Something needs to be done. You cannot just not talk about what you've gone through. What I've decided now is that we're going to have a YouTube channel and then have some episodes on narrating from day one. I want to narrate the story from when I was born, and it goes on. We owe it to society, and that's what we owe, for our legacy, that we perform and then let people learn from us, learn from our mistakes, and then develop from our strengths and our goals, and then be where they are.
My heart is filled with joy, and I can tell from Dr. Njie's face and Ole as well. And hopefully you that are watching, the audience, hopefully you are also enjoying this conversation. And inshallah, by the grace of God, when Mr. Njie's YouTube channel comes out, hopefully you'll definitely go ahead and follow him and continue to learn all this wealth of knowledge that he's sharing here. On that note, we're going to go ahead and wrap this segment up, which is the Building Africa series on institution. And of course, it's never going to end, right? The series continues on and on and on. And we are on the second season. We'll continue to have it every 4 or 5 episodes, and we'll bring you amazing, very seasoned and well knowledgeable people to share this platform with us and share their wisdom with us here on the Sister Show. You guys share, is there something that you were doing as a kid that you can see in right now that's happening in your life as far as your career? Or
I know you were always talking.
Yes. And I used to
remember
play,
when she got that job at the who was it, Radio FM?
I worked at Radio FM. TAF, my mom asked me to not, it was school break. I was probably 15 or 14. And I would sneak out and go and work there on the Radio FM. And she told me not to do it. And I, of course, didn't obey.
That's what you're doing now, media.
Right.
You see?
Right. And I also remember as a kid, I would take little dolls and I would I would create stuff act like series with them. Do you guys remember when we used to play with the dolls? And I would take them and I would create a whole story about the doll, even I'm the mom and I'm and then I created, it's crazy. Now I'm thinking about it. Okay, let me stop. It's taking me back there.
I'll give you a simple one, quick one. Jai Butil, I used to sell Butil, empty bottles in Banjul. I was fond of it. But when I think back, I used to collect bottles everywhere and keep it at the house.
Wow.
And sell it. But what I did now, today, that I was probably born an entrepreneur. But those days, they always are, so really, these are lessons to learn.
Dr. Njie, what do you have to share, Ole?
I know for some reason, someday I probably will be maybe that's why I'm in leadership now. I'm leading the Senegalese diaspora. And I've always been a motivational speaker. I remember when I was in primary school, one Friday, the Ustas, we used to have an assembly every Friday at St. Peter's, and the Ustas didn't show up. So all the kids were just sitting around and yelling and screaming and talking. And I got up and I had just finished the Lakhdari. I got up, I started preaching and I started talking, and all the kids sat down, and it was the whole school. And the headmaster came on, he's like, "Are you the Ustas or the Imam today?" I said, "I'm the Ustas. Everybody needs to sit down and I'll preach." And I started talking. And I remember
fascinating.
Yeah, it's crazy now that you ask, but that's something that I love to do.
Wow.
Obviously, you guys know. So.
For me, I think at a young age, which that's not what I'm doing now, is I don't know if you guys remember, it was a long time ago. I think the first woman that went to the moon, I think it was a teacher, but she died. And from that moment, I was like, "Oh, I want to be an astronaut." Of course, I'm not.
I remember you used to say that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
innovators, right?
Yeah, Ole is always innovating stuff, and that's still technology.
Yeah, it's all technology, I guess. It's not the moon, but
and so TAF. That was fascinating that you shared that. You were collecting bottles, recycling, and I mean, you were ahead of time. Because we recycle here in the United States.
Yeah, actually, I sell it. Those days they used to buy, they used to buy the bottles, the bottling companies, we used to buy the empty bottles and recycle it by rebottling it. It's money, you sell it. So, entrepreneurship. by
He was
yourself.
always an entrepreneur. He tried to make
you're
money.
born.
That's
Yeah.
brilliant. I love that. On that note, we're going to say thank you so much for your time. We're super humble. We couldn't say it enough. We really, really appreciate the time that you took and graced us with your presence here on the Sister Show. Continue to share the video if you're watching, and continue to comment below. What are your favorite moments on the show today that TAF shared with us? What do you remember with some of the things that he shared? And always remember, we do give prizes here. Maybe if you mention something that actually speaks to us, we may just pick you as a winner here on the Sister Show. So on that note, we're going to say thank you so much, Uncle TAF, Mustapha Njie, Mr. Njie, TAF Global, all of the above. Thank you so much.
Yes.
You were delightful.